Well, Georgia, I don't know what to say about this deal here. Georgia wins 34-31, but got to do a better job of closing games out. Had a 17-3 lead coming out of the half. The game is not really it's probably going into people going to sleep time if Marshall Morgan makes that about a 30-something yard or whatever it was. It was a decently long kick, but got to close these games out. Okay, so that's sort of the criticism. The other thing is the concern, which is there's a lot of guys getting hurt now, and you can only control so much, obviously. It looks like Todd Gurley's day-to-day. He may play against Missouri. He probably will play against Vanderbilt for sure. I think Georgia can get past Missouri. But, look, game ball goes to two guys. Aaron Murray was not unbelievable tonight until he had to be unbelievable. He was 19 for 35, only about 200 yards. But, you know, he had a very long run, I think it was a 57-yarder. I thought Georgia's defense really played well in the first half. And then they got it. I know they're young. They've got to listen to the mental toughness coaching, because it's time to close these things out. And that's what happened to them, was they did not do that. They had a chance to get off the field in certain situations, and fourth down, you know, Todd Grantham said after the game that Georgia's going to have a lot of fourth down situations, and they are, because their offense is so explosive. And I mean, it really looked for a second, they were like Tennessee was about to take a touchdown lead going into the first inning of the overtime, but the kid, you know, poor kid, it definitely came out. I mean, I could tell immediately. I was across the field, but I was shooting with a 500mm lens. I knew for sure the ball had come out, and as soon as they showed it on the Jumbotron here at this massive facility, everybody, the Georgia sideline, knew for sure that they had escaped, momentarily at least. And then Marshall Morgan, 42-yarder. I mean, when you're 2 of 3 and you make a 56-yarder and a 42-yarder, you've had a pretty good night. Mark Richt said to Marshall before the kick that he told him that he was the best kicker in America, and there wasn't anybody else he wanted to kick to make the kick. That's pretty. You know what? That might be true. You don't kick a 56-yarder every single day, and you know, like I said, 56-yarder and you kick a 42-yarder game winner. That's a pretty good day for a kicker. The reality is, though, you know, and another guy that really played well was J.J. Green. 132 yards, 129 yards. I watched J.J. a lot these last 2 years because of him and Bryce Ramsey playing at Camden. And he's so explosive. Now, J.J. really played well. But he got to the point for Georgia's offense that they were playing with third and fourth string guys in a lot of places except the offensive line. That's a real problem. I don't know the status of Justin Scott Wesley. I mean, it looks like Keith Marshall's done for the season. You know, Michael Bennett, nobody knows. So there were guys getting hurt left and right, and it's just like one of those games where after a while, you're just like, what is going on here? The big thing was that Georgia won the game. And they, you know, I thought they played pretty well. I mean, they had 3 sacks on the Worley kid. They probably should have had more. That Tennessee tackle duo was very good. Look, long story short, everybody in this week was saying, you know, this is a game Georgia should win handily. And I'm with them. The problem was everybody started getting hurt, and they couldn't, you know, that matters. And Aaron Murray, look, I don't know what you say after a while. I mean, there was like a minute, maybe 2 minutes left. I thought, this is the second week in a row I thought, they get to the 50-yard line, they're scoring a touchdown. Well, they got to the 50-yard line, and it took them a little bit of time, but they scored a touchdown. Aaron is the first guy to beat Tennessee 4 years in a row. I think he's the first starting quarterback in SEC history to beat the Vols 4 years in a row. Now, I could be off with that. I know he's the first Georgia kid, because I think Aaron Murray has like a quarter of Georgia's wins over Tennessee, something like that. It's not quite a quarter, but it's pretty close. He has 4, and Georgia only has 20. So math a little off there, but offensive line played really well for the most part. I mean, you know, when you have to go down 2 weeks in a row and score to win the game, tough. Defense, has been getting better, but got to get tougher a little bit when you got to be tough. Now, they got off the field when you had to get off the field. That's very important. But it's time to close these games out. You're up 17-3. You can make it 20-3. You got to make it 23. You got to make it a 3-score game, because this place, Wes knows, this place is huge and is very loud. And, like, you know, a lot of times people say, oh, it's so loud. It's loud everywhere, but it's particularly loud at Tennessee. And when you get 102,000, how many was it? Something like that? You get 102,000 people, probably a good 95,000 of which are cheering against you. It's tough. Defense, pay attention to Aaron and the offensive line's mental toughness. That group is getting better, but it's time to get off the field when you got to get off the field. You're going to be confronted with fourth downs a lot just because Georgia's going to score so much. But, you know, look, made the plays tonight to win. Special teams still got some work to do. A block punt for a field goal or for a touchdown, that's no good. Sometimes you just got to win. And if Georgia didn't win this game, there'd be no discussion of the national championship. They'd be in a little bit of trouble in the East if this were a loss too, because it'd give them no wiggle room. So it's time to bear down and start closing these games out in the second quarter or in the third quarter. Close them out. Be done with it. Get up 3 scores or 2.5 scores and be done with it. That's my kind of message. Now, I understand you're dealing with third and fourth string running backs and wide receivers, but Aaron Murray is pretty darn good. Georgia wins it. Kudos to Marshall Morgan. I don't know if the snap was a little high. One of those snaps, either the extra point or the field goal, was a little bit high, and they just got the job done. All right, Wes, we're going to wrap it up from Knoxville, Georgia. 34-31 winner in overtime. Dogs take on Missouri in Athens at noon next Saturday.